Hey, this is Brenda Meller from the Enthusiastically Self-Employed podcast. I joined the Download Growth Club last year when I first launched my podcast. And my favorite part about being a Download Growth Club member is having access to an expert, to Adam, because Adam has been there, done that. And he gives you great ideas all the time, ways to improve your podcast, to improve the marketability, to grow your podcast listeners over time. And I have to admit, I haven't done all the homework that Adam recommends, but whenever I do the work that he suggests, I see the results firsthand. So if you're on the fence, if you're thinking about making the investment in the Download Growth Club, I have to say it is an investment that will definitely get you the ROI that you're looking for.
What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are listening to Podcasting Business School. It's the show where I teach podcasters simple strategies to help you make more money, get more clients, and build a profitable online business. One of the problems I love helping you all solve is the podcast growth situation that causes so much frustration. I know a lot of you are very, very frustrated with the lack of audience growth, the lack of consistency. So this is a technique that I feel like is not talked about enough. We're talking about how to prepare now for the 2026 podcast growth window. There's a yearly cycle when it comes to podcast growth, and there are times to optimize, and we are getting ready to enter one in January. I'm going to break this down. I'm going to fully show you how to prepare for this, what you should be doing right now. Okay. So all about podcast growth today, one of my favorite problems to solve and help you all out with. After listening today, if you get a little bit of momentum built up, you need some help with this, definitely check out that 50% off group coaching link in the show notes. That's good through the end of the year. You only got a few more weeks to take care of that, and then it goes up to full price again. But that's going to allow you to kind of lock arms with me. I'm going to be mentoring you, working with you personally. We got our group, which is amazing. And it's just a like-minded group of people doing the same thing, trying to accomplish the same goals as you. So check out that link in the show notes, 50% off your first month of group coaching with Podcasting Business School. Okay. The first important topic to discuss here is the yearly cycle. Some people debate this, but I don't know. I've been doing this since 2015. I've put out over 1,000 episodes. I've got 1.2, almost 1.3 million downloads at this point in my podcasting career. I see this happening year after year and with all my clients. So there may be some outliers. I think with certain niche topic shows, maybe this doesn't fit. But for people that are educating and with a goal of building our online business, teaching people something, hoping to convert listeners into clients, this is a very predictable, very typical pattern. All right. And I know a lot of you are hearing this for the first time. I try to talk about this once per year, usually about this time of year, to prepare people for what's about to happen. So here we go. The growth cycle, the brief overview. There are two growth windows, and there are two what I call pattern disruption windows when it comes to our audience growth. January through May is the biggest and best growth window. We want to be fully optimized for that growth window because that is when the magic happens. This is when you should be hitting all-time best audience growth months. You should be seeing I see my clients in the group coaching going, okay, I double my downloads, I triple my downloads, I 10x my downloads in this window. All right. So we're going to talk about optimizing for that in this episode here today. Then we enter a pattern disruption zone within this yearly cycle, which is June, July, and August. And we think about especially audio podcast content consumption. People get into a pattern of listening to it while they drive to work, while they drive their kids to school, while they work out. What happens in June, July, and August? School is out. Our schedules go to hell. Every day is different. And that's a pattern disruption when it comes to content consumption. And you will see downloads dip. All right. So that is, look back at your January through May of last year. If you've been podcasting for more than a year, if you've been podcasting for several years, go back and look at this data. You're going to see it. January through May, growth. June through August, a little bit of a dip, maybe just maintenance. That's good. But usually the growth at least slows down. Maybe you have slow growth. That's a great outcome for this, for June through August, the summer months. Maybe you hold steady, maybe you dip a little bit, all normal. All right. Right now, the growth window that we are exiting is September through mid-November. So school is back in session. Calendars begin to normalize again. Patterns reform with content consumption. Uh, our schedule and our calendar is more reliable. We're like, oh, I am going to listen to Adam's show every Tuesday. Now I drop my kids off to school and then I go for a walk and I listen to Adam's show. So that regularity of content consumption and that reliability of our calendar is there again, all the way through to basically right now. When this episode goes live, it's going to be right before the holiday season. Like the heart of the holiday season is going to hit. We've got Thanksgiving coming up in the United States through Christmas, through the end of the year. And again, winter vacations are happening, travel, weather, sickness, all these pattern disruptions, including the holidays, of course. All these pattern disruptions are happening, and it shifts our content consumption. It shifts the content consumption of our ideal fit listeners. All right. So that's the window that we are getting ready to enter right now. But in this episode, don't worry, I got your back. I'm going to tell you about what you should and should not be doing right now. All right. Then, the entire thing happens again. All right. So January through May, growth, summer months, pattern disruption, September through mid-November, growth, mid-November through the end of the year is pattern disruption, and things kind of taper off a little bit. All right. So next segment, what should we be doing right now? What should we be doing and maybe not doing right now? I'm actually going to start off with something that you should not be doing right now, something that I usually recommend wholeheartedly the rest of the year. I'm a big fan of podcast player app banner ads, specifically on Overcast FM, overcast.fm/ads. That's the website. So I'm not going to explain what that is, but basically we're paying money to run ads and get more podcast listeners. I would not do that during a pattern disruption time of year. So I would not be doing that right now through the end of the year. I would not do that during the summer months because you're not going to get the bang for your buck. You're not going to get optimized dollar ROI investment there because listening patterns are all jacked up. So what I do is I save my money. I'll give you a place to put that money here in a second, or you can just save it. And like normally, if you're like, okay, my marketing budget is $250 a month. Well, don't spend that now and spend it in January. Save it for January. All right. So don't run banner ads right now. It's not going to be worth it. Number two, try to create some time sensitive or season specific content. Our pattern disruptions are present during the holiday season. But if you give your audience a reason like, oh, this is specific to right now, we can still get their attention. We still kind of rein them in a little bit. They see that pop up, that notification pops up on their phone on Apple Podcasts or whatever, like, ooh, this is about the holiday season. This is about do this before the end of the year. I better listen to this. They're going to make time for it outside of their normal listening routine. So examples, with my health podcast, when I first started, I always did like holiday season survival type stuff. Like, okay, how to make it through Thanksgiving, how to survive between Thanksgiving and Christmas without gaining a bunch of weight, stuff like that. That worked really well. That was time sensitive and season specific. If you're in the financial space, like year-end tax prep, people will do this. Like, hey, there's a deadline. December 31st, certain things need to be done before that, or you miss out. That will get your audience listening outside of the normal listening pattern. This episode of what I'm doing right now, like we are prepping, and it's like a spicy headline, how to prepare for the 2026 podcast growth window. Like, okay, 2026 is coming. We have to prepare now. This needs to be listened to before 2026 to be optimal. All right. So think about what that looks like for your niche. And let's put out at least one episode in the next like 6 weeks. All right. And let's make it seasonal, time sensitive, whatever makes sense, and keep your audience engaged in your content. All right. The third thing is that, this is like always, but right now, if, maybe your client load comes down a little bit during the holidays, you got a little bit extra time, build that email list. This is more important to me now more than ever. I'm going through some social media nightmares. All right. And remember what I said earlier with the first tip of don't run banner ads, don't spend money on those right now. I think it is okay to do some paid ads to build your email list. So maybe you're running ads to a lead magnet, or like what I do every once in a while, run some Instagram and Facebook ads to my newsletter. I don't have any lead magnets, so I just drive everything to my newsletter. Or maybe you sponsor someone else's newsletter to scoop up their audience and grow your newsletter. So I think throwing a little bit of money into building your email list, that's okay right now. And the difference is with like, I know this question will pop up, like what's the difference between email list and podcast listener disruptions? Well, people are listening to my podcast while they're doing other things. That requires a pattern of consumption. Email is consumed. People still get their emails and they have like that is still happening. So it's not like you don't read my emails on a specific day at a specific time doing a certain thing. You probably do consume my audio podcast on a specific day at a specific time doing a specific thing, if that makes sense. So I think paid ads to build your email list are actually a good idea right now. Good use of funds. Okay, next one. I want you to get ahead with your podcast and newsletter content for January. All right. Because if you all take breaks, which I don't recommend, but if you do not take a break during the growth window. That was not a smart decision. Okay. Me as your audio mentor right here, don't do it. If you're gonna take a break, do it in the holiday season. I don't recommend it, but that's when, if there is a time to do it, that's the time to do it. Again, do not recommend, but I want you to get ahead with strategic content for January. January is not a time, that growth window is not a time for your slop content, your throwaway, like, that one wasn't so great. You need to have strategic content, again, time sensitive, beginning of year. If you're in the personal growth space, you better be talking about goal setting, New Year's resolution type stuff, beginning of year game plan strategies. That needs to be happening in your podcast. And if you have a newsletter like I do, like I recommend, I love the combo. Your newsletter needs to be really full strategic content as well. And just get ahead. Because like I said, we don't want to be missing weeks. If you normally aren't a weekly podcaster and a weekly newsletter person, become one in January through May. You will thank me. Come out of that. Maybe take a break during the summer again or whatever. But January through May, we pin our ears back. We lock in and we create our best stuff, and we do it every week. All right. That's the goal. So if we can use the holiday season to get ahead and go, okay, I've got 2 or 3 episodes and 2 or 3 newsletters kind of prepped and ready to go. I think that's really, really smart, and make it really good stuff and make it specific if you can, and exciting topic for the beginning of the year. All right. Last one on what to focus on doing right now. I want you setting up interviews and or collaborations for January. So maybe you're booking interviews now and somebody's like, if you have the option, let's say you do an interview on somebody's show in early December, and I would ask the question, hey, when do you plan on releasing this? If they give you the option, I would pick January instead of December. It's like, hey, I can get it out in a couple of weeks. They're like, well, is there any way we could push it back to January? I would just ask that question. If you're doing interviews in the next 4 to 6 weeks, let's push this back into January if we can, if you're going to be on someone else's show. But doing reach outs, like I want you to be a guest on as many podcasts as you possibly can fit into your schedule in the growth window, specifically January, February, March, because then there's always that lag, that person that's 5, 6, 8 weeks behind, and that's fine. That's normal. But if you can really hammer the guesting trail January through March, it will pay off. Because again, that growth window, this is where we 3x, 5x, 10x our results. So we got to double, triple, 10x our effort to optimize for that window. Collaborations could be newsletter swaps. It could be podcast promo intro swaps, live streams, anything like that. Let's get January loaded up with all that stuff. And that work needs to be put in right now. All right. Let's turn the calendar to January through May and really solidify our game plan there. We've kind of alluded to what we want to do in this last segment, but this next one, I want to be really specific. So number one, we're flipping on the banner ads. So we saved some money during the holiday season. Now we're spending that money on podcast player app banner ads. Get them booked. Overcast FM is a great place to be. Every time I announce this on the show, prices go up. So get in there. And January 1, I'd be on that website getting your category. Again, number 2, weekly podcast and newsletter content. January through May is not the time for breaks. If you are serious about growing, if you're the person that's like, I'm doing this as a hobby, I got a show, I get some friends together, we talk about some stuff, do whatever you want. But if you are somebody that's like, I am driven to build an audience, show off what I do, create great content, and build a bridge from audience member to paying client, do not take a break from weekly content in this growth window. You will regret it. All right. Podcast content and newsletter content. Like I said, we're hopefully ahead by 2-3 weeks in case you had travel, you go on spring break, whatever. So you got a buffer. Build the buffer now so that in January through May, it's weekly consistent content. All right. Number 3, be a guest on as many shows as possible in this time frame. Already covered that. It's guest city. I mean, if you're really serious, it's 1 a week minimum. All right. So, and maybe it's not happening every week, but for a month. All right. So maybe 1 week you got 2 or 3 interviews and then you got 1 more during the month. Like you got to be pushing. You got to be connecting. All right. If you've ever had somebody on your podcast as a guest that has a show that you have not been on, you need to be reaching out to them about scheduling an interview. I was just working on this with one of my one-on-one coaching clients, and he's done so many interviews with so many people, and he's just kind of new to my methods and stuff. So we create an email that said, hey, I just want to thank you again for coming on my show back in episode whatever. You added so much value. I'd love to return the favor. I've got he's got a new ebook that he's put out, and we've got some really cool content around that. I'm like, so he's reaching out saying, hey, I've got this new thing. I would love to return the favor and add value to your audience and talk about this on this topic. And we're just kind of gauging interest there. All right. So if you have people that have been on your show, you've already added value first. They have a podcast. You have not been on that podcast. You need to be reaching out to those people. All right. Number 4, in the January through May growth window, make sure you are leveraging my 2/3 content rule for developing expert positioning. This is not the time to go, well, I'm going to do a whole bunch of interviews, interview episodes on your show. I want you doing interviews on other people's shows, but that 2/3 content rule, 2 out of 3 needs to be you being the expert. So we still have that 1/3. That's okay. Still working that strategy there for strategic interviews, but 2/3 need to be solo episodes and coaching episodes. Straight up. And I know some of you are like, but I just found you, Adam, I've pre-recorded all these interviews. I would push them back. This is your show. You do what you want. You do what's best for you and your audience. I had a client that was like 15 interview episodes deep, and they kind of think, well, I'm going to get through those, and then I'm going to start doing the 2/3 content rule. I said, no, hell no. Not smart. All right. So you start to fold those in, but you just let everybody know, hey, I'm shifting my strategy a little bit. You're supposed to be going live on this date. It's going to get pushed back by 6 weeks. And, maybe one person gets upset about that. And we maybe move them to the front of the line to get their episode out there a little bit quicker. But it's your show, your rules. Follow this 2/3 content rule during the growth window, because picture this. You're getting this amazing growth, but we have to do something with that growth. If the ultimate goal is not just growth, but it's getting clients, let's say you've got 100 new subscribers. You don't want them listening to you let someone else be the expert on your show during this window. You don't want their first 5 episodes that they listen to be someone else being the expert on your show. All right. So what is the reason you want to grow? If it's just to feel famous and fancy, all right, whatever. But if you want to get clients, leverage the 2/3 content rule, shift your schedule around, make sure that you got the solo episodes and or coaching episodes in place for 2 out of 3 episodes in this growth window. Extremely important. Don't overlook this. All right. And don't be that person like, oh, but I show off what I do during the interview. I'm telling you now, your audience does not see you as the expert during an interview. on your show. You are interviewing the expert. Very important. All right, last one. I want you in this growth window to create extra opportunities for connection with your audience. Just a couple ideas of things that I'm doing. Live streaming. Brought back my Tuesday night lives. Right now, I've been doing them on 8 p.m. Eastern on Instagram. I think I'm going to try it out on Substack. You can go live on Substack now. I'm totally experimenting social media wise because, like I said, I've had some nightmares and we're trying to get that figured out. But creating opportunities to connect with the audience, live streaming. I'm doing extra workshops right now. I always do a free workshop at the end of the month. I'm kind of doubling up. So it'll be like the last week of the month and the first week of the month. I'm cranking out workshops, free workshops. If you guys are on my newsletter, link in the show notes, you will be invited to all of those. All right. I think I've actually got one coming up about, let's see what my next workshop is, strategies for podcast growth without social media, which is a very important topic for me right now. But so strategies for podcast growth without social media, I'm going to be talking about that. I'll link that in the show notes. You guys know me and I get called out when I have more than one call to action. I got some important stuff that I'm going to plug you guys into. I'll just put all the important stuff in the show notes today. So workshops, interacting, and these aren't paid things. These are just, let's create connection. Because again, kind of thinking about those stepping stones of converting passive audience members into paying clients. It's not just a one-step deal. It's not like, here's one stepping stone, bing, bang, boom, there you go. Now you're a client. Sometimes it works out like that. We love those. But a lot of times we need to have several steps of kind of getting to know us. And you've got all these new people in your world. They're hopefully listening to you being an expert on your show. They hear an invitation of, hey, I do a live stream every Tuesday. Come check it out. Ask me questions. Let's interact. Or, hey, I've got a workshop at the end of the month. Come on and check it out. Here's the topic. Would love to have you there. It's free. That brings them a step closer. And it takes them, to use a sports analogy, it takes them from somebody that's like way high up at the top of the stadium, last row, to a little bit, closer, better seats, to, hey, now they're on the sideline, to now I'm in the game. I'm ready to hire you. So that we want to move that passive audience member into more active and engaged locations until they're decided, like, I'm in the game and I want you to be my coach. All right. So live streams, workshops, any connection and interaction is really going to be, especially just this time of year. I know that a lot of you are side hustling. You're doing this part-time. You got a full-time job. You got kids. You got, just do as much of this as you can. I think at a minimum, no breaks, weekly content, podcast plus newsletter. Just do that. And then as you can layer on more of this stuff, do it. Do the best that you can. That's all I can ask you. That's all I can push you. That's all I can push my clients to do, is do the best that you can. Now, we've unpacked this. We've been jamming out. Hopefully, you've got some ideas of what you need to be doing now, what you need to be doing in the growth window to optimize this thing, because growth will happen. I've seen it happen for 10 years in a row. Right? The pattern is there. I see it every single year, Pod Pals. Put in the work now, be strategic and focused now, set up the growth window, and then optimize it once that window opens. You will thank me later. All right. If you need some help with this, again, link in the show notes, 50% off group coaching. That is only good. You got to start with that link by the end of the year. So we only have about 6 weeks left. Love to have you in. We'll do an onboarding session. I'm going to find out your specific goals. If growth is one of them, we're going to map out this window together. I'll hook you up inside my podcast growth bootcamp program. You'll have support of the group coaching every other week. We've got a Voxer chat. We've got office hours every Friday. You'll be fully supported, and you can do 50% off with the link in the show notes, Pod Pals. I appreciate you. I'm excited for the end of this year. We're going to close out strong, and we're going to be strategic. We're going to enter 2026 with a lot of momentum, and that momentum is going to grow January through May, because you're going to follow the action steps I gave you here today. And with that, Pod Pals, I'm going to send you out into the world wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. I will see you on the next episode.